Hello, and welcome to Illumination. I'm Steph. Today, we're going to talk about an idea so powerful and honestly so brutal that it has shaped the last 4,000 years of human history. It's an idea born from ambition, from violence, and from a vision that would change everything. We're talking about the idea of empire. So the question is, how do you do it? How do you build the first empire in all of history? I mean, really think about that. How do you take a world full of separate, thriving cultures and smash them together into one single power? What would that even look like? Well, first, you look at a world of independent cities, a world with 100 kings, 100 different gods, 100 different ways of life, and you decide that one person should rule it all. You. It was an absolutely revolutionary thought. And, as you can imagine, it was going to be paid for in blood. Okay, so to really get just how audacious this vision was, we have to go back. We need to see what the world looked like before empire. It was a land of brilliant, but constantly squabbling cities. So, picture this. It's around 2334 BCE. The place is Mesopotamia. This is the Sumerian world. You've got dozens of independent city-states, famous places like Ur and Uruk. They're incredible centers of art, writing, and culture. But they are constantly at war with each other, fighting over water, fighting over land. Each city truly believed it was the center of its own universe. They were advanced, literate, and completely, totally fragmented. The very idea of all of them uniting under one ruler, it wasn't just a bad idea, it was unthinkable. And then, someone new enters the picture. A man named Sargon of Akkad. His origins are, well, they're shrouded in legend, but he's the one who looked at this fragmented world, all this chaos, and imagined something completely different. He didn't just want to be another king of another city. No, he saw all these squabbling pieces and envisioned a single, unified whole. See, what made Sargon so important wasn't just that he conquered people. Lots of kings did that. What he did was create a blueprint, a repeatable, scalable model for not just how to conquer the world, but how to actually rule it. And this blueprint, Sargon's recipe for power, it really rested on three main pillars. First, military innovation. Second, administrative control. And third, something we might call visual propaganda. Let's start with the military. This was no part-time militia. Sargon built a permanent professional army of about 5,400 soldiers who were loyal only to him. And he gave them better tech. He armed them with these advanced composite bows that had a much longer range than anything their enemies had. His units were fast, they were mobile, and they built a reputation for being absolutely ruthless. It was a kind of psychological warfare. Sometimes cities would surrender before a single arrow was even fired. But you know, winning the war is the easy part. The real genius of Sargon was in what came next: governing. He didn't just leave the old kings in place. No way. He installed his own loyal Akkadian governors in every city he conquered. To make trade easier, he standardized weights and measures across the whole empire. He controlled all the major trade routes, from the Mediterranean all the way to the Persian Gulf. By building roads and communication networks, he wasn't just ruling a bunch of conquered people. He was building a single, integrated economic machine. And that brings us to the third pillar, propaganda. The message had to be clear: I am chosen by the gods. Resistance is not just futile, it's blasphemous. A perfect example is this famous carving, the victory stele of Sargon's grandson, Naram-Sen. Look at it. He's depicted as a god, he's bigger than everyone else, physically perfect, literally walking over the bodies of his enemies. The message couldn't be clearer. Fighting me is fighting the gods themselves.
So, you have these incredible victory monuments, these grand inscriptions telling stories of glory. But that's only one side of the story, isn't it? They don't show the human cost of empire. They don't show what these victory monuments hide.
Because life under the empire was complicated. For some people, sure, there was opportunity. If you were a trader, you now had vast, safe trade networks and standardized money. But for most people, for them, it was about loss. You lost your political independence, your local identity was crushed, you paid heavy taxes to a distant capital, Akkad, and your sons were forced to join the army and fight for an empire they never asked for. Yeah, let's be clear, this empire was held together by force. This wasn't a happy family of city-states. When you read the Akkadian inscriptions, they don't talk about peace and prosperity. They constantly mention crushing rebellions. It tells you everything you need to know. This empire was built on a foundation of resentment, and it could only be maintained through violence. And that economic model they created, the one where you extract all the wealth from the lands you conquer and funnel it back to the imperial center, it was so brutally effective that it would become the playbook for almost every empire for the next 4,000 years. And yet, for all that power, for all that innovation, the empire was incredibly fragile. It was built on a foundation that was always threatening to crack. It rose like a supernova, lighting up the ancient world, and then it vanished just as fast. A failed empire, maybe, but a very, very successful idea. When you look at the timeline, it's pretty shocking. Sargon starts his conquest in 2334 BCE. The empire hits its peak around 2254, and by 2154, it's gone. A sudden, catastrophic collapse. That's only about 180 years, a blink of an eye, historically speaking. So, what happened? What could possibly destroy the world's first empire? Well, historians aren't 100% sure. It's still one of history's great mysteries. There are a few major theories. Theory 1, a massive decades-long drought hit the region, causing famine and chaos. Theory 2, they were invaded by mountain people called the Gudians. And Theory 3, it just collapsed from within, from the sheer weight of all those constant rebellions. The most likely answer? It was probably all three, a kind of perfect storm that brought the whole thing crashing down. But if you ask the Sumerians who lived through it, they had a very different explanation. For them, it wasn't about drought or invaders. It was about justice. They wrote a famous poem called The Curse of Akkad, which basically says, "Your arrogance destroyed you. The gods had the last word." They saw it as divine punishment for the hubris of the Akkadian kings. A cautionary tale, really. And that right there is the great paradox of the Akkadian Empire. The empire itself, it failed. It completely vanished. We still haven't even found the ruins of its capital city, Akkad. It's lost somewhere under the sands of Iraq. But the model, the idea of empire, that didn't fail at all. In fact, it succeeded beyond Sargon's wildest dreams. Just think about it. This blueprint was copied almost immediately by the Babylonians. It was perfected by the notoriously brutal Assyrians. It was adapted by the Persians. Even Alexander the Great studied it. And of course, it heavily influenced the Roman Empire. Sargon's model became the foundation for almost every major Western empire that followed. And all this leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? Is this the only way human beings can organize themselves on a large scale? Through domination and control? Or is there a better model out there? One that we just haven't found yet? The story of Akkad reminds us that the past isn't just a collection of facts. It's a question that we, today, are still trying to answer. I'm Steph. This has been Illumination.